Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Don Smith, president of RIDC, and it's my pleasure to welcome you here this afternoon for this very special event at Mill 19. We're especially proud to have Governor Josh Shapiro here to talk to us about the landmark economic development plan that he and his administration released yesterday. And we want to really thank him because he clearly, from day one, has put economic development as job one for the Commonwealth. And he's focused on that not only for our state, but also for our region. He's a great partner in economic development. He was here not long ago announcing Rebuild Manufacturing had been recruited to the region. And so we're really pleased to have him here with us today. Before we get started in the program, I do want to recognize the very many dignitaries that we have assembled here today. And so I'm going to ask you all to hold your applause. Everybody here is applause worthy, but I'm going to try and run through this quickly. So speaking today, in addition to me, we have President Johanian from CMU. We have Darren Kelly, the President of the Labor Council, Stephanie Pashman, the CEO of the Allegheny Conference, Mayor Ed Gainey from the City of Pittsburgh, State Senator Jay Costa, Representative Aaron Abney, County Executive Sarah Innamorato, and Ira Moskowitz from the ARM Institute. In addition, we're joined by a number of legislators here today. So we have for our state representatives, Dan Frankel, Mandy Steele, Lindsay Powell, Rob Mercuri, Joe McAndrew, and we're also welcoming the Office of Congresswoman Summer Lee. All of our friends from organized labor, who are so important to all the projects that we do in this region. We have many of them here with us today. So we have Greg Bernarding, Jim Cassidy, Sam Williamson, Jeff DePerna, Joe Swenglish, Kenny Broadbent, Carl Bailey, Josh Ewing, Greg Blows, Maurice Cobb, and Kevin Schmidt. We couldn't do the projects we do without the cooperation of our friends in labor. In addition, we have the Governor's Commission on African American Affairs with us today. We have Annette Nance, Patience Thompson, and Andrea Robinson all here today. From the Department of Community and Economic Development, we have Jonna Pro, who is the Southwest Region Director. We always see her on all of our projects. And from Higher Ed, we have Chancellor Joan Gable from the University of Pittsburgh, and Dr. Alicia Harvey-Smith, the President and CEO of the Pittsburgh Technical College. And last but not least, we have many of our regional development partners here today. So we have Austin Gelbard from Tishman Speyer, the master developer for the site. We have Rich Fitzgerald, who's Executive Director of our Southwest Pennsylvania Commission. Petra Mitchell, the President and CEO of Catalyst Connection. We have Ann Flynn Schlicht, the Director of the Center for Women's Entrepreneurship at Chatham University. Sean Luther from Innovate PGH. Brandon Mendoza from the Master Builders Association. Reverend Tim Smith from the Center for Life here in Hazelwood, who's been our partner on this project. Chris Rossello from the Pittsburgh Community Reinvestment Group. Catherine Kellerman from the Pittsburgh Rapid Transit, Guillermo Velasquez from the Hispanic Development Corporation of Pittsburgh, Jen Apicella from the Pittsburgh Robotics Network, and we're also joined by John Carano and Matt Carroll from our private sector partners here at the site, Motional. So now you can, oh wait, there's more.
Good partnerships.
We have a lot of partnerships. It's the Pittsburgh secret sauce of success. Rachel Mauer's here from the German American Chamber. My good friend, my other Smith brother, Matt Smith from the Allegheny Conference is here today. Cynthia Oliver from Three Rivers Business Association. Jordan Grady from Butler County Chamber. Juan Garrett from the Riverside Center for Innovation. Camille Bailey from the Greenwood Plan. Patty Horvatich from the Pittsburgh Regional Alliance. Josh Pollard from Omnicello. Kevin Dowling, who is with the Robotics Factory. And Susie Pushkar from the Partner for Work. So as you can see, it really does take a village to make economic development work, and we have a strong one here in the region. When we first conceived of the idea of Mill 19, the idea was to pay homage to the strength and history of success here in our region, but in doing so create the new homes for the next generation of innovation and industry here. We could not have done this without strong support from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And so that support for economic development is what leads to projects like Mill 19 and the companies and jobs that are being created here. We're very fortunate to have Carnegie Mellon University as our anchor partner here in this project, serving as the centerpiece of their incredible work on bringing transformative technologies into our lives and into our businesses. That's why it's such a pleasure to be here today. We have the A-team. We've worked with Governor Shapiro closely, with Secretary Rick Seiger, who's well known to us here in the region, but they've really put together a very innovative and forward-thinking plan for Pennsylvania so that we can accomplish those important goals of economic development and job creation. We worked with that team to bring rebuild manufacturing to New Kensington. We worked with that team to do all the great stuff here at Mill 19, and it's a partnership that can only be strengthened by the great announcement that we had yesterday and the details that we'll hear today. Now it's my pleasure to introduce the leader of an institution that is one of our most important magnets for business attraction, business creation, and talent generation, recognized globally as a leader in developing the technologies that are driving our region into the future. Please join me in welcoming my friend and colleague, President of Carnegie Mellon, Farnam Jahanian.
Thank you very much. Well, Don, I got to tell you, I am so impressed with you reading all of the names. I'm going to recruit you to read the commencement names for all the 14,000 students next year. Anyway. Well, Don, thank you very much for your kind words, for that introduction. On behalf of the entire CMU community, it's my great pleasure, it's an honor to warmly welcome all of you to Mill 19 here at Hazelwood Green. Governor Shapiro, Secretary Seiger, welcome back. We're happy to have you here.
Thanks, Thanks.
I'm excited and grateful to see so many of our elected officials here, as well as community members, business leaders, labor leaders, foundation leaders. They're all here to offer, of course, their support for this very special day. This is an extraordinary week for our state as we celebrate the release of the governor's historic economic development strategy for the Commonwealth. Mill 19, in some ways, that all of you know, is a fitting location for this event. This site was, as you know, decades ago, where more than 5,000 workers produced over 1 million tons of steel per year to help fuel the region and the nation's economy. More recently, this is a site where the autonomous vehicle industry was launched after the DARPA Grand Challenge. Today, it's where CMU and our partners, including University of Pittsburgh and ARM, are continuing to advance cutting-edge innovations for the 21st century, bringing together robotics, advanced manufacturing, artificial intelligence to make things in a whole new way. While the products that are created here may be different from a century ago, the elements that make Pittsburgh and Pennsylvania exceptional remain the same. It's about innovation, it's about our community, it's about partnership. In fact, the same spirit of collaboration that made Hazelwood Green possible, including public, private, labor partners working together, is at the heart of the governor's plan. This plan charts an ambitious course for the state's economic growth over the next 10 years, and it has arrived right on time. This is a once-in-a-generation moment of opportunity for Pennsylvania and, candidly, for the entire nation. As you will hear later on from Governor Shapiro and Secretary Seiger, Pennsylvania has all the necessary tough-to-come-by ingredients to shape the future, to strengthen our economy, and to secure our place as the nation's leading economic engine. I'm particularly proud of the diverse and vibrant academic network that spans our state. This includes land-grant universities, private and public institutions, community colleges, trade schools, you name it. And as you know, a couple of my colleagues and friends from higher ed are here in the audience with us. And we're so eager to join the Governor Shapiro, his team and partners across the state, including our representatives in Washington, D.C., to bring together and catalyze all of our unique strength to move the state forward. Thank you again for being here. I'm delighted to be with you, and it's my great pleasure to introduce a terrific partner in this work. Please join me in welcoming the Allegheny Conference CEO, Stephanie Pashman. Stephanie?
Good job. Thank you very much.
So the good thing about Pittsburgh is that we all sing from the same songbook. So when you hear my speech, you'll say, didn't he just say that? But that's okay. So what I want to tell you today is that it's a pleasure and an honor to be standing here celebrating a historic moment for Pennsylvania. And we were trying to calculate, has it been 10 years, 20 years, but to have an economic development strategy, a blueprint for moving forward towards growth is historic. And doing it in a site where we have found the power of transformation in this region is even more powerful. When public and private and philanthropy and labor and business and community all come together to repurpose and rethink and innovate and move forward. The opportunities that we're talking about here today are in fact transformative again. And I applaud Governor Shapiro, Secretary Siger, and the entire administration for their enhanced focus on improving Pennsylvania's business competitiveness and maximizing economic opportunities across this Commonwealth. I congratulate them on the launch of the statewide economic development strategy yesterday because it's a crucial milestone that we all needed on a path to unlocking the potential we all see here. We now are a state with a plan. I'm so encouraged to see many of the priorities that we all believe in and are committed to in this region. Growth, investments in innovation, site development, revitalizing downtown, new and better tools to spur business expansion and attraction, alignment of sector priorities and regionalism. We are very much in lockstep with this plan, and we are excited to be a partner in its execution. By aligning and prioritizing the key sectors of advanced manufacturing, agriculture, energy, life sciences, robotics, and technology, we can imagine a brighter future where Pennsylvania will once again lead on all the lists. Together, we can provide more opportunities for Pennsylvanians, and especially for me, those right in our backyard in southwestern PA, and we look forward to continuing to work alongside the Shapiro administration and the General Assembly to make Pennsylvania more competitive and inclusive in its business environment. Together, we will win. And it is now my honor and a pleasure to introduce our County Executive, Sarah Innamorato.
Stephanie and I get to see each other quite a bit these days because it's wonderful to have such an excellent partner in the conference. It's been a wild ride these past 29 days. We're out here, we're doing great things, and in this room with the public and private sector, our friends in labor, I know that we are going to do great things together for this region, especially in economic development, which is one of my top priorities as your county executive. The conversation around Allegheny County's economy these days is a little bit of a mixed bag. So right now we have record low unemployment, but we have a slow recovery post-pandemic. There is positive wage growth, but increasing economic disparity. Pittsburgh is still viewed as relatively affordable to outside metros, but increasingly unaffordable for the people who live here in Allegheny County. And these are big challenges, and they're hard to wrap our head around sometimes. That's why no one elected official can do it alone. No one entity can solve these challenges alone. That's why I say that governing is a team sport. And I'm thrilled to have a partner in Governor Shapiro and his team, because I know that we share a vision on inclusive economic growth that will set up this region and our entire state for success. Plus, I like winning too, Governor. I know we see eye to eye on the importance of packages that help relocate medium and large employers here to Allegheny County. But Governor Shapiro and I also know that it's about investing in the people and the businesses that call Allegheny County and Pennsylvania home. That's why I'm looking forward to hearing more about the Main Street Matters program to support small businesses in our commercial corridors throughout our region. We want to invest in people who are investing on being here, who build stronger communities each and every day with their actions. But in addition to investing in main streets, we also understand the need to up the game when it comes to investing in innovation and entrepreneurship. That's why the Governor's Regional Economic Competitive Challenge is so exciting to hear about. But we know none of this happens unless we sustain and grow our population in Allegheny County and throughout Pennsylvania. That's why we need the Governor's Career Connect program to help connect employers with young workers via internships that will encourage our young people to stay here in Pennsylvania, preferably right here in Allegheny County. I'm excited, despite our challenges, about the opportunities that we have here with a plan and with this alignment from the federal government, the state, and the local level. I know together we are going to do great things. And one of the folks who's helping us do great things and building an Allegheny County and a region for us all is Mayor Ed Gainey, and I'm proud to introduce him now.
Good afternoon. Isn't it good to be here with a governor that just want to get stuff done?
There you go. There you go.
So one, I want to thank CMU. They've been the definition of transformation in this region. Without the CMU's leadership and the ability to be creative and innovative in the way that they think, we wouldn't be here today. So before I go any further, I want to just say thank you to CMU and their leadership for putting this city and this county back on the map. We couldn't be here without them. So I ask that you give them a hand. You know, yesterday, me and Sarah had the opportunity to meet with some national leaders in workforce development. We had the Secretary of Labor and the Secretary of Education here, as this city was one of the White House workforce hubs, one of 5 destinations, and it was wonderful. You know, we have a responsibility as a city and the Commonwealth to ensure that we build things here that is going to lead to jobs that are good paying jobs. We want that for our people here. Last year, we rolled out our principles, our Pittsburgh Good Jobs principles, to let people know exactly what I see today. Look around this room and just look at the diversity that's here today. I might not have seen this 10 or 15 years ago, but look around this room today is amazing to me, to see the diversity and all that's included. It just lets you know that we're a region that's growing and on the move. And I just want to thank everybody who came out today to celebrate this historic economic development package from Governor Shapiro himself. You know, this means removing barriers to employment, transportation, make sure we have childcare, what you heard County Exec Anna Morato talk about so much. You know, and even as we talk about some of the industries that have taken off here, and the fact that this plan encompasses all that, like life science, robotics, technology, manufacturing, agriculture, and energy. And even new industries that I thought never would be here, like working to put something else on the moon. That's amazing. And a lot of that investment that we received from the Commonwealth due to the governor. And so without those type of initiatives and that funding coming in here, we wouldn't have had that opportunity to grow in that region. And so I'm delighted to be here with everybody as we talk about a new pathway for Pennsylvania, Allegheny County, and the city of Pittsburgh. Together we can do great things, but it takes all of us. And when you have a governor that likes to get stuff done, we know we're on our way, so let's go get it. Right. Next up, I want to bring up the leader in the Senate, one of the most knowledgeable, wise counsel that I've seen in Harrisburg. Give it up for State Senator Jay Costa.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mayor, and I truly appreciate those kind comments, and thank all of you for being here. More importantly, thank you for Governor and Secretary Steiger for the opportunity to be part of today's program. What we learned about this program yesterday, or this economic development plan, which I think it's important that it's a plan as we go forward over the course of the next 10 years. That's something that's been absent for a while, and I think it's really important that we recognize that. But when you start looking at the industries or the sectors that we're working to build, it was already mentioned the area is agriculture. But when you think about robotics and technology, you need to go no further than this location right here in Technology Drive. We are well poised to be able to expand and do great things in that space. When you think of manufacturing, you think of what's taken place here over the years and what can come as we go forward. When you think of some of the other areas of life sciences, all you need to do is look up at the University of Pittsburgh, UPMC, and so many others, and so many folks who are spinning companies out of those locations across this region. That's who we are as we go forward. And the robotics side, as we mentioned earlier, those are the things that were important to us. That's who we are as the Pittsburgh region and Allegheny County region. When we think of energy, we know that this Southwest Pennsylvania is well positioned to create and find a balanced approach to how we deal with energy going forward. That's what this is about. And the manner in which we're going to be able to stand up those sectors, those industries, is really important. And that's where the work that needs to come in at the legislative level as well. And that's why having a plan to be able to do that, why that's so very important. When you look at the things like a workforce and ensuring that we have an appropriate workforce to operate in those respective spaces, investments are going to need to be take place there to grow that workforce in an appropriate way. When you think about some of the things we talked about in the past, site development, to ensure that we have the sites that we're able to draw down and bring those companies here, and we can't say to them, we have the site for you. We have the permitting that's taking place and addressing the governor's work that he's doing to take care of permitting along those lines. Those are the things that are critically important to be able to stand these sectors up, and the things that we need to do in Harrisburg, and the investments that need to be made in the spaces that we've talked about. So I can speak on behalf of my colleagues in the Senate Democratic Caucus. We stand ready to stand with the governor, Governor Shapiro, and also Secretary Siger to be able to advance this measure and the measures he talked about in this economic development plan, something that's extremely important to all of us. And we know that it suits who we are here in southwestern Pennsylvania, and that's why it's critically important. And I want to say thank you, Governor, for coming here to announce this plan as well as doing up in the Lehigh area. But we stand ready to accept this challenge, and we stand ready to be able to deliver for Pennsylvania along those lines. So thank you very much. Now it's my honor to introduce my colleague here who represents the area as I do, Representative Ariane Abney. Representative.
Good afternoon. Ariane Abney. I have the honor of representing all of my neighbors of the 19th Legislative District, which includes where we are here today in Hazelwood. I want to first and foremost extend my gratitude to Governor Shapiro, Secretary Siger, for their unbridled enthusiasm for the success of this Commonwealth, and more specifically for their continued commitment to the success of Pittsburgh and Allegheny County and Western Pennsylvania. I think that a lot has already been said today that really highlights the fact that our Commonwealth is uniquely positioned to be able to think globally but act locally. And this 10-year economic development strategy really is an investment in and a down payment in the advancement of our Commonwealth in a very creative manner. And it is designed to benefit both our current and future generations. As state government, I always believe that we should be in the business of trying to make sure that our Commonwealth is as competitive as it possibly can be. And we know that we live in a global economy where it feels like almost every day there are new technologies, there are new advancements, there are new economies of scale that are created that really make it a reality that we live in a 24/7 world, right? And if we live in a 24/7 world, we can no longer accept the status quo of having a basic 9-to-5 government, right? And we know that it is important that plans like this will help to continue to modernize our government. They will help to make our state government more responsive to the needs and the issues of residents and business community alike. It will help to make our government more efficient and more effective. Now, the reality of the fact is that state government alone is not going to be able to pull off this plan in its entirety and bring it to fruition. It's truly going to take a comprehensive and multifaceted approach over these next 10 years from various other core social institutions and sectors to partner with government to be able to develop an interactive, supportive network to make this possible. And I trust with the vision and the leadership of this administration and us coming together collectively that we can all make this happen. And so I am just excited and honored and humbled to be able to play my part and my role in this. I look forward to getting back up to Harrisburg and working with my colleagues in both the House and the Senate, as well as administration, to usher and shepherd this plan forward and to continue to build for the posterity of all Pennsylvanians. And speaking of building, we know that None of this work can really be possible without our brothers and sisters and our partners in the labor movement. They have helped to build this Commonwealth over the years, and they will continue to do that. And so it's my pleasure and my honor to bring up the president of our Labor Council, Darren Kelly.
You know, my friends, I promise I'll be brief. You know, when we're at a day like today and you see something has so much momentum, you have to put a human side on this. And sometimes we get lost. You know, this place where we're at is very special to me. You know, I know a lot of people use this as punchline, but I grew up a stone's throw away from where we're at right now. I learned how to ride my bike in the basketball courts where all of you will pass from my grandfather. You know, this was once a place where thousands of men and women worked 3 shifts a day, 7 days a week, 365 days of the year. You know, when it closed, you know, it was a symbol of what we lost. Now, you look around, it's a symbol of our rebirth. You know, this economic development strategy is more than a document. This is our economic rebirth. This strategy puts labor at the forefront. We are proud to be here. You know, Josh, Governor Shapiro, we thank you once again for investing in Pennsylvania's greatest asset, and that's its people. We're proud to stand here with you, as always. Your commitment, not to just this here, but our infrastructure, our children, our education facilities, our mass transit, once again shows that you fulfill your promises. My friends, it's a pleasure to bring up DCD Secretary Rick Sager. Rick, thank you.
All right. Wow, thanks everybody. It is amazing to be home in Pittsburgh and back at a really familiar place to me, Mill 19 in Hazelwood Green, and it's an honor to be here with the governor and all these great leaders. And I had this long list of acknowledgments, which I'm definitely not going to do, but I do think I have to acknowledge my longtime boss and collaborator, CMU President Farnham Jahanian. So thanks, Farnham, for having us here today. I got to say, from these people behind me and a lot of these people in front of me, I've learned an awful lot from partnering with you all over the years, and I'm really proud to stand with you today. And I got to say, this is a really exciting week for us at the Department of Community and Economic Development. Our team's been working on this strategy for months, and now it's finally out in the world. It's about how we become more competitive and create real opportunities for our businesses, for our communities, and for our residents. And let's be honest, what is a better place to highlight this strategy than here at Mill 19? This facility, and really this whole site, Hazelwood Green, exemplifies what it means to identify what a region does best, boldly invest in it, establish a real economic driver that's set up for the economy of today and tomorrow, all while focusing on the needs of surrounding communities. It's an outstanding example of the private sector, the public sector, our universities, labor, businesses collaborating in service of a joint vision. And it's based on a strong declaration of priorities in advanced manufacturing and robotics, and now across the street in biomanufacturing, that this region believes can lead the way to future sustainable growth. In many ways, it represents what we want to do all across Pennsylvania in this 10-year economic development plan. A plan that will require bold leadership, really strong collaboration, and real investment. With this strategy unleashed, our first in nearly 20 years in Pennsylvania, we believe we have a long-term economic development playbook, a report that is not going to sit on a shelf. In fact, even as we are working to bring this report to close, we've identified our most pressing needs and we've started to act. For example, this year we've invested more dollars in site development through the PA Sites Pilot Program. We've incentivized well over $1.2 billion in new private investment across Pennsylvania. And just yesterday, we unveiled a new business-facing brand and business attraction website, pagetitsitdone.com, to streamline our marketing of the Commonwealth to businesses and real estate professionals all around the world. And I will say, if we want to win, if we want to make this initiative and this strategy succeed, we also know that we need to hold up our end of the bargain at DCED and scale up our organization. That's why in the coming weeks, we'll launch a process to restructure key elements of our department to match the ambition we've laid out in the plan. That means bringing our domestic and international business attraction function, our project management, sales, marketing, and data analytics, all under a single part of the organization, and expanding our department with experts to compete on a national and global level. And to lead this critical work, we'll be launching a national search for a new Deputy Secretary and Chief Commercial Officer for all of Pennsylvania, who will report directly to me, who we believe has to have a strong spirit of collaboration, but they better be competitive as hell too. I look forward to sharing more details in the coming weeks. You know, as I wrap up here, we're moving in an exciting new direction at DCED, but I want to be really clear about one thing. We cannot do this alone. Economic development's a team sport, and we've been intently focused on collaborating with business, with economic development professionals, with organized labor, with higher education, with local government, with legislative partners, with nonprofit partners, all as we've developed this strategy. And in fact, we've gotten advice and feedback from all 67 counties across Pennsylvania during this process. Our hope is that now, as we put it out into the world, our partners and businesses in every part of Pennsylvania can see themselves in this strategy too, and find common cause with the Shapiro administration's ambitious goals. Because we can only increase our competitiveness and grow our economy if we're working together, and we only succeed if our plan works for the entire Commonwealth. In case you couldn't tell, I'm pretty energized and ready to get to work. And while our team is clear-eyed about the real challenges ahead, we are more committed than ever to helping make Pennsylvania a better place to live and a better place to do business. This is an exciting time for Pennsylvania. I can't wait to get going and prove to businesses around the world that Pennsylvania gets it done. Thank you very much, and it's now my pleasure to introduce the CEO of the ARM Institute, Ira Moskowitz. Ira, take it away.
Thank you, Secretary Seigert, and good afternoon. The Advanced Robotics for Manufacturing Institute, or the ARM Institute, is one of 17 national manufacturing USA institutes, all of which are set up by the federal government to accelerate the development and the adoption of advanced manufacturing technologies and to train the workforce in those technologies. And I think that's right in the heart, Mr. Governor, of the new economic development strategy. These 17 institutes are scattered around the country in terms of their headquarters, but the ARM Institute is the only institute that is headquartered right here in Pennsylvania. Each of the 17 institutes is set up to focus on a particular advanced manufacturing technology, and ours is robotics and automation and AI. But we all have the same mission in common, which is to strengthen our global competitiveness, our economy, our supply chains, and our national security. Now, while we are a national institute, we have significant work going on here right in Pennsylvania. For example, Mayor Gainey spoke about the workforce hub. Pittsburgh is one of only 5 cities in the country designated by the White House to be a workforce hub. And Mayor, we are happy to support the works of the Mayor's Office and Partners for Work in the workforce hub and making that endeavor successful. We're also partners in the $62 million Build Back Better EDA award that the leadership behind me were absolutely instrumental in securing, and thank you all for getting that for us. And our part, the ARM Institute's part, is everything behind me. All of the robots that you see behind me are part of a new facility funded by Build Back Better called the Robotics Manufacturing Hub, which will de-risk robotics for small and medium-sized manufacturers in the region that can't possibly do it on their own. We also just received over $11 million from Congress to create another facility in this building called the AI Data Foundry and Learning Lab, and that is with our partners, Carnegie Mellon University, and with Catalyst Connection. And the purpose of that new facility is going to be advanced AI and robotics for manufacturers in the region. But in addition, the Learning Lab portion is going to expose factory workers and factory managers to this whole world of AI in manufacturing in a way that they couldn't do otherwise. And we're also partnering with Center of Life Church in Hazelwood and Tim Smith to work on bringing K-12 programming to this building and to this region to expose the youth of Hazelwood and the youth in nearby communities to this whole world of robotics and AI and manufacturing. The ARM Institute is honored to work with Governor Shapiro and his administration to support the new Pennsylvania Economic Development Strategy. Our manufacturers are absolutely critical to this state's economy and in fact to the entire nation. And helping them and their workers understand and bring up skills in AI and robotics will bring a plethora of new manufacturing jobs and new higher levels of factory output. And in that context, it is my honor to introduce someone who is a great friend of manufacturing and a great friend of American manufacturing workers across the Commonwealth. Please join me in welcoming the Governor of Pennsylvania, Governor Shapiro.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Well, good afternoon, and let me say, Ira, thank you for that introduction and for your leadership here at the ARM Institute. As you discussed, you are preparing Pennsylvania for the future of manufacturing, born out of a great partnership with the world class university, Carnegie Mellon University, to create this great hub here in Pittsburgh that fosters innovation, upskills our workers on emerging technologies. We are grateful for your leadership. I think it speaks to the important work that's happening not only here at Mill 19, but all across innovation zones like Hazelwood Green. And this is the kind of work that's going to play a big part in our Commonwealth's new economic development strategy, and why specifically I wanted to be right here today to talk about it. We are, of course, a leader here in southwestern Pennsylvania in things like robotics and advanced manufacturing. We need to build on that to create more jobs and create real opportunity all across the Commonwealth. In cities like Pittsburgh, I believe real opportunity depends on a renewed focus on investing not just in places like this, but in the whole of community, education, economic development, public transit, and of course, infrastructure. In fact, in just the last few days, I announced my blueprint for higher education and released a plan to make an historic investment in public transit when I propose my budget next week. Look, all of these investments, they work together and they build off of one another. By rethinking our system of higher education, we can open up doors of opportunity to young people who want to go to college and facilitate more collaboration and innovation like what's happening literally right here. By investing in public transit, we can ensure workers can actually get to and from work safely. They can do it affordably, and they can do it on time. In my administration, we are focused on creating economic opportunity here in Pennsylvania, and I'm proud to have partners like those standing behind me, seated here, and those you heard from in that important work. We are joined, of course, by a number of representatives and senators in your General Assembly. I want to particularly thank your leader in the state Senate, Jay Costa, for his important work to shepherd so many of these things through during my tenure as governor and no doubt going forward. Now, when we get things done in our state capital, we need folks to execute it on the ground. And I got two great partners who execute things here in southwestern Pennsylvania. Mayor Ed Gainey in the city of Pittsburgh, and of course, our new county executive, Sarah Innamorato. These two know how to get stuff done. And listen, because we're all working together, I believe Pennsylvania is now ready for a targeted strategy, and we're poised to see real success in that area. One that creates real economic opportunity for all, one that seizes on our strengths, and one that finally recognizes that we need to actually invest if we want to compete nationally and globally as I want to. Since day one, I promised that my administration, well, that we'd be open for business. And in just my first year in office, we brought a new energy to economic development here in Pennsylvania. We're not waiting around. Look, we got a Yinzer in charge of DCED and Secretary Seiger. He knows, and he's already helped us put up a bunch of W's for Pennsylvania. In the last year alone, we have brought in $1.2 billion in new private sector investment as a result of our direct engagement. And that includes two super exciting projects that we've recently announced. The first is Accelitas, a leader in photonics technology that announced earlier this month they're going to relocate their headquarters from Boston to the Strip District. Now listen, I was raised, my parents taught me to love everyone and everything except for two things in life, the Dallas Cowboys and the Boston Celtics. So for me to take a company out of Boston Celtics territory and bring it here in Pittsburgh, it was extra special. And I know it's going to be extra special to the hundreds of people that are going to get these high-paying jobs at a company like Accelitas. This is huge for our region. Or how about Rebuild, which we announced a few months ago? We announced an $81 million investment to redevelop the old Alcoa facility in New Kent and create 300 new jobs in a community that, quite frankly, has too often times been overlooked. The group assembled here today understands the value of developing a plan and then executing on it. That's exactly what folks like Don Smith and his team at the RIDC have done. We understand together how we need to work collectively to get stuff done. I'm proud of the work that we've done in Harrisburg across party lines to get stuff done, to continue to attract businesses here with investments in economic development, including millions of dollars in new flexible funding that have proven to be effective tools for Secretary Siger. It should be lost on no one. I'm the only governor in the nation with a divided legislature. The House led by Democrats, the Senate led by Republicans. And in these hyper-polarized times that we live in this nation, we have shown an ability to come together and make common sense investments in areas like safety and education and, of course, in economic development. And we're going to aggressively continue to work together to compete for more jobs and new businesses here in Pennsylvania while we make clear that we are a business-friendly administration and environment. In just my first week in office, we created the Office of Transformation and Opportunity, a one-stop shop for businesses to cut through the red tape and get stuff done. Special thanks to Matt Smith, who led a division of my transition and helped dream up the idea of the Office of Transformation and Opportunity. They've been aggressively helping small, diverse businesses get certified so they can win state contracts, along with working with huge developers on overcoming permitting and licensing delays, making sure we can get stuff done. We have sped up government in the last year. We have cut down on processing times. We've eliminated backlogs that have dogged our government for years, and we have slashed through red tape. Consider this for a moment. When I took office, the day I was sworn in, it took 8 weeks to get a business license, typical business license anyone needs, whether you're operating in one of those skyscrapers or you're trying to open up a barber shop. 8 weeks to get that business license. Today, thanks to our work to speed up government, it takes just 3 days to get that same license. We are moving at the speed of business, and that is critically important. But even with all that we have done this year, I got to tell you, we are still not in the top 10 states to do business with in the country. And when it comes to job creation, Pennsylvania is even further behind. You've heard me say this, some of you poking fun at me about this. I am competitive as hell. I want to win and I hate to lose. To be a leader in economic development, innovation, and job creation, we got to work together and have that same competitive spirit. To take advantage of our strengths and leaning in, we've got to invest in industries where we have the potential to see explosive growth over the next decade. But I think for too long, Pennsylvania has failed to fully capitalize on the great potential that we have. We've lacked a concrete plan. At times, let's be candid, we've lacked real leadership, and we have lacked, for the last many decades, a vision to take us forward. That's why Secretary Siger and his team at DCD, working with other agencies in my administration, have spent the better part of the last year listening to folks like you, gathering your best input, hearing your constructive criticism, and then making sure that we could execute going forward. I want to make particular mention of the feedback that we have gotten from organized labor and the business sector. They have been incredibly helpful to us in this process. And it should be lost on no one that two of our speakers here today, one of them is a leader of all the unions in the region, and the other is a leader of the businesses in this region. Now, some of you may have grown accustomed to the fact that you could have great leaders from organized labor sitting here, by the way, in the front row. These guys aren't standing in the back anymore. They're sitting in the front row. But that they're here arm in arm with business. You may take that for granted in this region. I know it's something you've worked really hard to build and develop. This is atypical. You all are a model for how we need to do this elsewhere in the Commonwealth. You're a model for the rest of the country, the way business and labor work together, and I couldn't be more grateful for their partnership. And because of that partnership, because of the feedback we've received, because of the challenges that you all have issued to us, well, now for the first time in 2 decades, we have a plan to bring all these stakeholders together, to grow our economy, to create jobs, to create real opportunity, and to get it done. The plan that I'm here to announce today sets down the foundational pieces that are going to allow us to achieve those goals. And the truth is, if we really want to compete, we've got to put a marker down, you got to lean in, and then you got to play to your strengths. And you got to stay true to that plan going forward. So the question is, how are we going to get there? Well, we are going to focus on 5 core goals in order to be effective. And next week, when I give my budget address and announce my funding priorities, each and every one of those funding priorities are going to tie back to one of these 5 goals. First, we are going to invest in our economic growth in order to compete. A few months ago, Secretary Siger and I entertained for 2 days in the Capitol site selectors from all across the country. We wanted their honest feedback on why folks should pick Pennsylvania and why maybe they haven't picked Pennsylvania. Of course, they were excited about our highly skilled workforce, our world-class universities, our relatively low cost of living, and of course, our great strategic location. But they told us it is nearly impossible to sell a company on this Commonwealth because we don't have sites ready to go. Rebuild was a rare exception, to be sure, but by and large, we don't have the right kind of sites that are ready for launch. Other states literally have pads that are shovel ready, literally. They've got the electrical hookups, the water's there, everything is good to go. And it's time we now catch up to the other states. And we've got to invest in these sites now because it takes years to develop them. Next week, you will see me propose a major investment in site development in my budget to do just that. But that's only a start. Second, we plan to continue to make our government function at the speed of business. I'm proud we went from 8 weeks to 3 days on that business license. I think we can do even better. We got to be more aggressive when it comes to speeding things up. Third, we are going to open up the doors of opportunity for all Pennsylvanians. I believe every Pennsylvanian deserves to be at the table when we're talking about empowerment, when we're talking about building generational wealth, when we're talking about creating real opportunity. I'm grateful for the involvement of so many, especially Annette Nance from my Commission on African American Affairs, whose input has been invaluable in this process. She's making sure that the voices of Black Pennsylvanians are heard in our state government and are reflected in this plan. To succeed, I also think we need to make smart investments in our workforce, from investing in apprenticeships and on-the-job training to funding a new Career Connect initiative that's going to create thousands of internships over the next 10 years. Organized labor is key to our growth strategy. Investing in them and the skills that they develop for folks across Pennsylvania is absolutely essential. I've been to your training halls. I've seen the great work you're doing. I've seen the way you are empowering people to be able to not just have great careers for themselves, but put food on their tables for the family, transform their families, and transform neighborhoods. That is key. In addition to the partnership of labor, we need the partnership of higher education. And let's be frank, the way we've treated higher education over the last number of decades in our state capital, well, quite frankly, it hasn't been working. Consider this for a moment. We rank 49th in the nation. That's bad. You want to be 1, not 50. We rank 49th in the nation for state investment in higher education. 48th in the nation in student affordability. Our failure to invest in higher education over years has closed the doors of opportunity for too many Pennsylvanians. It's on us to open that up. If that young person in high school wants to go work in Kenny Broadbent's apprenticeship shop, we should treat him with respect and help him get there. But if she wants to go to a university and get that degree, we should help her do that too and open up those doors of opportunity and make it affordable for her. Both of those paths deserve respect, and both deserve our dedication, our commitment, and our resources. My blueprint for higher education, which I announced last week, is going to change that. And I'm grateful for the leadership of President Jahanian, who has helped us lean in on that. I'm especially grateful to Chancellor Gabel, and I must say this as a pit dad of two, H2P, I am grateful for your leadership and your stewardship over one of the finest public institutions in the entire country. Thank you very much for the way you have leaned in and helped us develop this plan. Higher ed is critical for access, for innovation, and for opportunity. So let's talk about innovation, the fourth prong of this plan. We're going to put significant capital behind targeted innovation funds that provide support for startups, entrepreneurs, in the tech sector. When I think of tech, I think of a broad range of tech. I think of our agriculture when I think of technology. Last summer, I visited Rhineford Farms in Juniata County. You can Google where Juniata County is at some point if you'd like. There I saw a methane digester that's quite literally turning waste into power, not just for that farm, but for the towns nearby. Think about this. From the strip districts to our farmlands, we've got opportunities for innovation and technology to take hold, but we've not connected the dots between the two. Our higher education institutions are critical for that, and so is our investment. Fifth, and finally, we want to build vibrant and resilient communities. We've got to invest in our main streets, and we've got to make sure we have enough affordable housing in our communities. I was so excited when Sarah Innamorato got elected county executive a few months ago, partly because she understands the importance of the strength of a whole community. And not just having a high rise, but making sure that those folks, when they leave the high rise, have a place to live, that they can get on a clean bus to go to and from work, that they understand that there is vibrancy in the communities that they live in, to make sure that they're healthy across the board. To do all of this, and to think about it in the context of economic development, I believe we need to invest in our main streets. I'm privileged to represent this vast, wonderful Commonwealth, a Commonwealth made up of rural, urban, and suburban communities. Heck, a county made up of rural, urban, and suburban communities. And folks ask a lot, man, it looks so different out there. What are the similarities? I actually think there's several similarities. One is our people, right? Most folks just kind of want the same thing. They want a good job, a good quality education, a safe community to live in. They want their freedoms to be protected. But actually, if you look at the topography of every community, while it may look different, every one of them has the same thing. They all have a main street. Some main streets are high rises, and some main streets have one-story buildings. Some have storefronts. Some may be a little glitzier and more glamorous. But the truth is, you can tell the strength of a community by virtue of how vibrant and strong that main street is. And so we are going to invest in main streets in rural, urban, and suburban communities. That will be key to our economic development strategy. Look, if we want to be a leader in industry, if we want to be a leader in job growth, if we want to be a leader in opportunity, it is time for Pennsylvania to invest. Consider this for a moment. Our neighbors in Ohio, in New York, in New Jersey, all invest more in economic development than we do in Pennsylvania. We've hollowed out our efforts. And then we got some lawmakers complaining that we're not winning. Well, write the check. Write the check. Ohio has 1.5 million fewer people than Pennsylvania. Yet they invest 7 times the amount in economic development than we do. I am sick and tired of losing to these other states. I don't want to lose to friggin' Ohio anymore. I want to kick Ohio's butt. And to do that, we have to invest. We have to make sure that we've got the tools and the resources to do that. Darren Kelly talked about our great people. We are a people-powered economy. They deserve our investment. Pennsylvanians work hard. They work their butts off. They deserve a government that works just as hard for them, that invests in them, and that believes in them as I do. And we've got to make sure that we make those investments as we go forward. And when we make those investments, they'll be strategic, they'll be thoughtful, they'll be tied to metrics that Secretary Siger and his team report back on. And they're going to primarily be tied to 5 specific areas of investment where I think we are poised to win and be really exceptional: agriculture, energy, life sciences, manufacturing, and of course robotics and technology. These are the 5 legs of our stool. Most stools have 4 legs. Ours is going to be especially strong, so we've got a 5th leg that we've put in there. And we've got to make sure that we highlight our successes. Yesterday, I was in the Lehigh Valley at a company called Orashore, where they are developing life-saving test kits and making our Commonwealth a hub for life sciences. They're just one example. Or how about County Exec? We were at Westinghouse together in Etna just a few weeks ago. They're quite literally developing the future of nuclear energy that's going to be able to serve underserved communities. It's a total game changer. It's happening right here in southwestern Pennsylvania. Consider this when we're talking about energy for a second. Texas, which is twice as large as we are, Texas, a state more than twice the size of Pennsylvania, is doing a lot on energy, except we are the 2nd largest net energy supplier in the entire country. We are punching above our weight. Energy has to be a focus of how we compete to win going forward. 2 of our major cities, Philly and right here in Pittsburgh, are ranked in the top 15 in life sciences. We've got a great foundation in those areas that we must capitalize on. And we've got a great legacy of leadership in those areas. Think about manufacturing for a moment. Industries, especially here in southwestern Pennsylvania, quite literally built our nation, helped us win wars. Yet for too many, they're reading about that in our history books. I'm tired of reading about the great days of manufacturing in our history books. I wanted to be here at Mill 19 because this represents our past and our future. We need to make sure we're reading about manufacturing in our action plans going forward. It is part of our future success. We've got, of course, a great heritage to pull from, but we have got to focus on meeting the goals going forward. Let me be clear, this plan that we have put forth is not one of those government plans that sits on a shelf somewhere. Instead, it sits on the conference room table. It is going to be the Bible that we refer to over and over and over again when it comes to our funding decisions, when it comes to setting our priorities, and when it comes to getting stuff done for all Pennsylvanians. You see, I believe no matter what you look like or where you come from, who you love or who you pray to or choose not to pray to, Pennsylvania should be a place where you can thrive. Pennsylvania should be a place of economic opportunity. And now that we've got a plan to win, it can be just that for all Pennsylvanians. Next week, I'll be asking my colleagues in the legislature to join me in this effort to grow our economy, to join me in this effort to stitch together all the critical pieces of economic development, from our smallest children in K-12 to the work that goes on at our universities and our labor halls, to the manufacturing sector and our farmlands and everything in between. We have a unique moment right now to capitalize on what is great here in Pennsylvania and take us forward. We have a moment right now that we have to meet together, where we've got the leadership assembled to do this important work. The people of Pennsylvania are winners. It is now time for us to invest in them, to believe in them, to put resources behind them, their innovation and their ingenuity and their hard work, grit, and determination. I believe we can do this work together. I believe with this team, we can get it done. I couldn't be more proud to be the governor of Pennsylvania and excited for this launch today. Thank you all very, very much. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Before we adjourn and spend some time with everybody here, if there's any questions from the media, the county exec agreed to answer them for you. Yes.
Hi, Governor. Can you be clear with Pittsburghers about what you think an appropriate Pennsylvania film tax credit should be?
We're going to be working on that with the legislature. I believe in the film industry. I think we've seen it thrive here in Pittsburgh. They just got nominated for, was it an Oscar, Emmy, or whatever the award is for Rustin that was made here in Pittsburgh. I'm bullish on it, and we're going to work together to get that done.
On that, you talked about competition with other states. New Jersey is, I think, at $500 million. New York, 750. You've mentioned in tweets in the past you'd like it to be uncapped.
We're going to work on it together, Democrats and Republicans, to try and get that done. Yes.
Talking about your blueprint for higher education, how feasible is that? I mean, your plan lays out cutting tuition to $1,000 for people that come from a household of $70,000, but a number of state-funded universities are barely hanging on in terms of enrollment.
It's a bold, exciting, audacious plan and something that's been lacking in Harrisburg. We've got to invest. The investments that I will lay out for higher ed next week are fully paid for in a balanced budget, do not require any increase in taxes. Listen, if lawmakers are okay being 49th in the nation, that's on them. I am not okay with that. It's time we invest and we open up the doors of opportunity for more Pennsylvanians who have been shut out.
Permitting reform is something that a lot of businesses talk about and want to see more of, especially the DEP. Tell me a little bit about how you're going to approach that.
We've aggressively approached permitting reform. We've cut down processing times at DEP, the Department of State, and other agencies. As I spoke about in my remarks, we've made great progress. There's more to do, and we're going to continue to work hard in that area. We believe you can protect public health. You can protect access to clean air and pure water when you talk about DEP as just one example. And we believe we can give people answers far more quickly than has historically been done. We're already showing that. I think we're going to continue to make progress in that area.
Talk about all these specific plans. How much do you want to see invested in each of these plans? Do you have a breakdown?
Each of these plans will be fully paid for. It'll be laid out in my budget next Tuesday, and we'll send you a link, or you can come to Harrisburg and watch it for yourself, Ryan. All right, thank you all very, very much. Thanks.